away from us!
Pluribus Episode 4 Breakdown, Truth, Lies, and the Shattering of Agency. Episode 4 of Pluribus delivers the most emotionally loaded hour of the series yet, an episode that revolves around hunger, hope, and the brutal honesty of a hive mind incapable of deception. The show continues to explore the deepest fear embedded in its premise. What happens when you're the last person on Earth who still gets to think alone? Through Manousos, Carol, Zosia, and even the ever-smiling Larry, this episode asks whether truth is always liberating, or sometimes just another kind of trap.
United States.
No me jodan más. Déjenme en paz, hijo de putas.
Manousos Oviedo, a man held together by hunger and principles. The episode opens not in the present, but in the days just before episode 3, giving us a raw, intimate introduction to Manousos Oviedo, a man whose grit is matched only by his impossible integrity. The storage unit he once managed becomes both a shelter and a symbol of the life he's trying desperately to cling to. The board on the wall still lists strict rental rules, each line confirming how seriously he once took the tiny corner of order he was responsible for. But order doesn't feed a starving stomach. His long hours spent at his radio rig, timer ticking, pencil in hand, chasing strange frequencies, are not the habits of a paranoid man, but of someone trying to understand a world that has slipped out of comprehension. Yet, his stomach growls. He refuses from the hive mind. Nothing matters more than the idea that he is still himself. Eventually, hunger crosses the one he's never crossed. He breaks into the very storage units he spent his life protecting. But even here, his moral code trembles, but does not fall, because before he opens a unit, he writes an apology note to the renters. Not because anyone will ever see it, but because he wants to believe the world might return to normal someday. Because he wants to remain a person worthy of the world he remembers. What follows is a moment of bleak tenderness. Manousos swallowing down spoonfuls of dog food, retching, crying, and refusing to give up on being human. The timing could not be worse when Carol calls him for the first time. Nervous, overly polite Carol, trying too hard to sound harmless, sounds to him exactly like one of them. His immediate assumption that she's hive makes sense. Who else could still be chirpy and helpful in this nightmare? But when she calls him back just to cuss him out, the shift is electric. It's messy, rude, human. And it's the first moment Manousos realizes he might not be alone after all.
Just take a coffee break or whatever floats your boat. Come with me.
Happy to.
Can the hive mind really not lie? Carol's journey in this episode begins chaotically, with Jeannie in a bottle, blasting from the half-broken vehicle she crawls into after leaving the hospital. It's pure irony. In a world where most physical possessions have lost meaning, the only car she can find is destroyed, but still humming along to 90s pop. Her attempt to drive home ends in a stolen cop car. Not that stealing exists anymore in a world with no private ownership. And the moment she arrives home, she meets her mayor sweeping up debris from the grenade explosion that nearly killed her. It's the kind of wholesome political accountability she once voted for. But that man isn't the mayor. He's everyone. And Carol knows it. With suspicion building, she begins listing everything she's learned about the hive mind, behavior, limitations, patterns, and one puzzle keeps sticking out. They seem incapable of lying, but she needs proof. Enter Larry. Larry, who once had many friends, at least according to him. Larry, who the hive mind wants Carol to believe was beloved, but who absolutely doesn't fit the stereotype. And this becomes the heart of the confusion. His statements are unverifiable, but sincere. Carol tests him relentlessly. Do they like her books? Larry's broad, generic compliments certainly aren't reassuring. But then he recites her passages flawlessly, and Carol visibly cringes under the weight of someone knowing her work too well. What's truly touching here is Carol's vexed relationship with her own writing. She mocks her books, calls them trash, dismisses their artistic value, yet she still wants them to be loved. She still wants them to have mattered to someone. It's a perfectly human contradiction. Larry's explanation melts that contradiction into clarity. The hive mind loves her books not because they're masterpieces, but because they helped people feel less alone. Crazy Moira from Kansas City, a woman on the brink of suicide, found Carol's stories and felt enough warmth to hold on. And Moira is now part of the hive, which means the hive carries that gratitude. Whether or not Carol respects her own writing is irrelevant. The work made the world a tiny bit better, and the hive never forgets that. But when Carol asks the one question she's never dared ask aloud, what did Helen, her late wife, really think of her books? The truth wounds deeper than any hive fusion ever could. Helen called them harmless, the gentlest version of a backhanded compliment, a kindness disguised as support. And Helen hid this truth to protect Carol's heart. For Carol, this becomes the final proof: the hive mind cannot lie. And sometimes truth is crueler than deceit. Zosia and the ethics of curiosity gone too far. Carol visits Zosia in the hospital, part guilt, part curiosity, and part desperation. Zosia is still recovering, still sweet, still tender despite being the one Carol nearly killed. Carol asks the question that has been clawing at her since the infection began. Is there a way to reverse this? To keep an immune person immune? Zosia doesn't answer. Not because she won't, but because she can't. A living organism that cannot lie communicates a yes with silence, and Carol instantly recognizes it. There is a way back, a way to reunite the world with its individuality, a way to remain human, and that knowledge electrifies Carol more than anything since episode 1. She rushes into a pharmacy, asks for heroin just because she can, and laughs when the hive mind pharmacist offers her medical-grade opioids instead. It's a clever jab at Big Pharma, but also a reminder: this is a world where the hive will happily give you anything you want, for your own good. She doesn't want the heroin. What she wants is the truth serum, sodium thiopental, which she injects into herself to see if it actually works. Her recorded confession is raw, painful, and honest. She hates the hive. She doesn't even like Zosia. She misses Helen with an ache that tears through every layer of self-defense she's built. She is human precisely because she is fractured. It's a beautifully heartbreaking moment, but everything unravels when Carol decides to test the serum on Zosia. Under the guise of taking her out for fresh air, she drugs Zosia and drags her from the hospital. She wants answers. She wants the antidote. She wants to keep her own mind. But what she does not realize is that Zosia is still full of hospital medications, and mixing those drugs pushes her heart into collapse. The hive mind senses her distress instantly. They gather not to confront Carol, but to save Zosia's life. And Carol, terrified of losing her only lead, handcuffs herself to Zosia and screams about her right to autonomy. It is the darkest irony of the show so far. Carol, defender of free will, has stripped Zosia of hers. And when she realizes the hive will let Zosia die if Carol insists, she breaks. She lets them intervene. She steps back. But by then, Zosia's heart may already be too damaged to recover.
Analyzing. Shock advised. Stay clear.
The tragedy at the heart of Episode 4. Episode 4 ends with the emotional clarity that Pluribus has been building toward since the beginning. Carol is fighting for her humanity, but the fight is twisting her into someone she doesn't want to be. In trying to protect herself from assimilation, she is becoming capable of cruelty, deceit, and violence, things the hive mind has abandoned. The hive, for all its unsettling cheerfulness, has no malice. It wants harmony. It wants peace. It wants connection. It wants to save Zosia not because she is useful, but because she is them. Carol wants to save Zosia because she is not Carol. And that is the fracture line between them. Two worlds with two definitions of love, loyalty, and personhood. As Zosia's fate hangs in the balance, one truth remains chillingly clear. Carol has caused too many accidents for them to be accidents anymore. And in saving her own mind, she may be losing her soul.